Good morning, everyone on the line from Waltham. Although I know for some of you this is afternoon and evening, we are thrilled to have you here for this session about our Masters of Finance here at Bentley. Just to give you a little sense of how we'll spend our time, we'll start with a great conversation with our program director, Florin, who I am itching to let introduce himself, but I'll do that in just a moment. So we'll spend some time talking about the program, hearing from him about what makes it distinctive and how it's differentiated from other Masters of Finance programs that you might be considering. We then will discuss the admissions process to the program. So I know many of you on the line likely have some questions about, well, how do I actually go about applying and how do I be successful in that process? And so we'll make sure to answer those questions. And then we'll end with some Q&A. So we'll make sure to leave plenty of time for you to ask us the questions you have specifically. To start, I'll say, hello, my name is Emma. I am Director of Strategic Programs here at Bentley, supporting our graduate school and our graduate programs. And as I mentioned, I'm joined by both our Program Director for the MSF, Lauren Morrison, and Kyle Mondino, who is a member of our admissions office, who specifically supports the the folks interested in the finance degree. So with that, Florin, I would love for you to start by introducing yourself. Both tell us a little bit about your journey to Bentley, because I think it's illustrative of a lot of our faculty members in this program. And then I would also love for you to tell us a little bit, what does it mean to be a program director, so folks understand kind of how you are positioned within their experience of the program.
Oh, my name is Florin Morrison. I teach derivatives in the finance department. I'm also the program director for the MSF. Like many teachers in this department, I have a strong background in the industry. Basically, after doing my PhD and my MBA at MIT, I worked on various positions as a consultant at McKinsey, and after that on Wall Street, mostly in equity research, both on the sell side and on the buy side. So it's an interesting career. I was never planning to do finance, but somehow it happened. I mean, my undergrad degree was in physics, and definitely had no idea what Dow Jones average was, or what the New York Stock Exchange was when I was doing the undergrad degree. That's a cue for me to say that from this point of view, the finance profession, the finance industry is open to all sorts of backgrounds. Let's say if you are the type of personality who likes to spend more time with people, interact, then that there is a place for you. You are going to be possibly a good client advisor. You bring in funds for the firm to invest. So that's a wonderful quality. If you are a number cruncher like myself, again, you are welcome. There are plenty of calculations and models to be built and made. You could be more extrovert. Again, you could be more introvert, sticking to your knitting. It's a lot of ways in which you can find a niche in finance. Don't go by any means on the shiniest objects. If you read somewhere, well, the investment bankers are making the most money, maybe it's true, maybe not. You want to, if you are good and you do something that's natural for you, you're going to rise in the profession and you're going to make plenty of money. That's your goal. The purpose is be true to yourself and discover what are your strengths and weaknesses. Don't force yourself into a niche. And I can give you more examples. I was trying to force me in the niche of a sell side analyst when lots of people were telling me, Florin, I see you as a money manager, but I do not see you as a sell side analyst. I don't see you as an investment banker. You don't have the personality, and I don't, you know. Anyway, and actually, I really enjoy being a teacher now. Probably that's my first calling to begin with. That's it. I mean, what the program director is, we have excellent services here. We have academic advising, we have excellent admissions. We have all sorts of support. It's a full-blown university, state of the art. So the role of the director is not to do all these things, is I would say first to advocate, to be and also an advocate for the students, to be a friend and to advise them on the big career path, and also to help them do a substitution of a class. If, for example, you are taking a class and that's what you do at work all day long, and you come to me, of course, I'm going to be reasonable and say, well, that there's no point of doing the same thing you do for a living. Let's go and take another class. If you have already taken classes for the CFA, Charter Financial Analyst, obviously I'm going to make you force take you the elementary finance classes. If you come to me, I'm going to say, well, the rules are this, and the academic advising is very good in enforcing and having a rigorous program, but I'm going to advocate on your behalf and maybe make a substitution. So that's the role. I mean, um, it's not doing everything because we have a very sophisticated machine in place to make your stay at Bentley as comfortable and as pleasant as possible.
Wonderful. Florin said so many important things in his introduction that I want to kind of call out for you all who are on the line to think about as Florin talks more about the program. So the first thing I just want us to be thinking about, as he was mentioning, Bentley is a place where theory is meeting practice in the MSF. So we're going to talk a lot about our faculty and how they support you in understanding underlying financial kind of theory. But Bentley is so experiential in its learning and in the faculty bringing in their own experience that you're going to immediately be applying what you're learning within our programs. As Florin mentioned, we have a really robust set of tools and specializations across the program. You're going to be exposed to the things that you actually will be using in your finance career while you're here at Bentley, which positions you really beautifully to manage kind of your career aspirations. I love what Florin is saying about finding yourself in finance. And I think that's something really important at Bentley. Person after person that I've spoken to who have been in the program discuss that they're exposed at Bentley to lots of different options in the finance industry, and they find themselves and then are mentored to be supported in the path that they're looking towards. Florin and I did a session, I think it was last year, with two students who went completely different directions in their finance careers, and both had found faculty mentors to help support them. One went the finance kind of startup route. They were really interested in supporting startups in kind of their financial understanding. The other was more of a money manager. And so we kind of discussed how well supported they were here at Bentley. Florin, before we dive into the program itself, I do want to say one thing that I think is really important, which is in 2025, Bentley was named the #1 MSF program by the Financial Times, certainly kind of the industry standard in understanding the finance landscape. I think beyond just being named #1 in the US, are the importance to me are the numbers that are underlying that and why Bentley was named #1, which is they look at student experience, they look at our faculty, and they look at the outcomes of our students. And so you can see here a number of the places where Bentley ranked the highest center on student outcomes. So you're seeing high salary increases, you're seeing employment rates very high. Florin, I'm curious from your perspective, what do you think kind of differentiates Bentley's program that leads to this kind of recognition in the marketplace? Why do you think, obviously there's a calculation that made Bentley the #1 program for the Financial Times, but I'm curious from your perspective, what makes Bentley so special in our MSF such that students are so successful in all of these ways?
Would say it's the fact that the reputation of Bentley, it has been long known as a business-focused school. Started with accounting, and now in finance, and now also try to make it relevant on the finance and technology, fintech. I would say that's everybody in the area at least knows what Bentley is. I would say the proximity to Boston, Boston is a hub of on the buy side, it's the big Five Fidelities and Wellington Managements of the world. That's definitely good. Also because it offers possibilities of jobs and internships for Bentley students, but also because it's a source of potential faculty, right? There are people who did well in their careers and now they decide to slow it down, and that's a natural continuation, right? Teaching and passing your information to the new generation. So I'd say it's a good combination of factors that helped us rank well in this Financial Times surveys. I mean, there are years where second, third, we've been, and we're humble about this. I mean, we have to earn it every year. Again, it's Europe, and it's a global survey by Financial Times, but obviously we feel honored by this ranking. I would also say it's appreciated the fact that our students benefit from state-of-the-art technology. I see no difference between the Bloomberg I was using while at Blackstone and the Bloomberg I'm using here. It's the same thing. It's a fact set, and we truly encourage students to learn all these technologies and hit the ground running in the interview process. I come from the industry, right? And you go to an interview, and the interviewer asking you all these nice questions, great questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your strengths and weaknesses, and this and that. But I'm telling you, as somebody coming from the industry, in the back of the mind is, okay, I have that project that starts in 2 weeks. Can this person help me or not? That's the idea. And if I sense that you talk about the markets in a mature that in a way that makes sense, that's common sense. If I sense that you are comfortable with technology, I don't have to teach you FactSet and Bloomberg on an emergency basis. I can trust that you'll be helping me in that project. And even if there is no position, I'll find a position for you. That's the way we're trying to connect the practical training with the theoretical training. Everybody has books, but we try to emphasize also the learning of things that cannot be taught from books. I mean, the ability to talk shop, the ability to truly understand what's going on in the industry.
Yeah, Florin, something that you and I have talked about that I'd love for you to tell folks about is exactly what you're just describing, how you're integrating kind of the most current things happening in finance into your courses. And one thing you've shared with me is often you'll start your class with something that you find in the Financial Times or the Wall Street Journal or what have you, or you're pulling something up that people are immediately engaging with. Tell me a little more about that. How are you integrating these amazing tools or technologies into your class in a really kind of current and immediate kind of way?
So I'd like to start by the fact that every student at Bentley, actually anyone with a Bentley email address, has access to Financial Times, to Wall Street Journal, to Bloomberg.com, and to The Economist. And I plan this fall to push for Barron's as well, which is it's a standard magazine that everybody in the industry on the buy side reads. So that's the beginning. You have access to all this technology for downloading data, for doing homework and whatnot. So the technology is all there. And because we have access to all this technology, obviously you're not going to reach out for some old stale case study of 10 years ago when you have one which was happened 10 minutes ago, right? And that creates a little bit, it makes basically the class, I would say, less boring, right? It's something that's boiling right now, right? And we use the case studies to put things in perspective, right? On the one hand, we are on the cutting edge of what's going on, but on the other hand, in finance, there is a constant, a universal constant, which is human nature. Human nature doesn't change. There is always a new type of situation. There is maybe a new financial scandal, but there are some common elements within that that keep repeating over the years. So that's some other thing we hope to teach students to understand. Yes, the particulars of the situation will change all the time, but we're trying to teach you to think for yourselves. It's not a science like physics where somebody who has good math skills has three principles, and from that he derives the motion of any object in the world with enough computing power, enough calculus ability. No, it doesn't work. There is no specialist here. There's no universal and absolute knowledge. In finance, you have to make decisions on uncertainty, and you have to make your own decisions. I mean, following what other people are saying, it's not always useful to your financial health, because if you follow other people, yes, they may be right, but by the time you hear their advice, or by the time you get to buy that investment, that financial, you make that financial investments, probably it's already expensive. You are late to the party always. So you have to learn to think for oneself. And again, it's something you don't quite read from books. It's by having all this exposure to financial news, to all this information, by talking to teachers who have been in battle before, by listening how they talk, how they approach things. That's I would say it's a great benefit.
Amazing. Florin, can we pull back for a moment and talk about the curriculum? And for fall 2026, which these folks are likely to be looking to enroll for, we have some new programs or new tracks, new majors coming online for the MSF. And I would love for you to talk through the different ways you can specialize your MSF at this point in order to support, as you were saying, varied career outcomes that you might be looking for, different types of roles you're interested in. Could you walk us through the four tracks that folks can specialize in?
Sure, sure. I mean, we have the plain finance, the plain vanilla, they call it. It's nothing vanilla about it, but it's a very common that's many students who know they want to do finance, they know yet where to start. Well, that's the default option, finance, right? If somebody is more oriented toward calculations, number crunching, has some background in math, right? They can do financial analytics. Also, this program has the benefit of being a STEM designated uh, program, and it's particularly beneficial for international students because you qualify for a 3-year optional training program. So it's very favorable from a visa point of view. So these are the two traditional. And again, you don't have to start from the beginning in the financial analytics. You may start the first semester. There are many classes in common, and then you realize you want to do financial analytics. I am the person who would approve that transfer under reasonable conditions. We keep innovating to stay in step with the times, and we are pushing hard towards this fintech, this blend of computer science and technology, which is also STEM oriented and will start in the fall of 2026. The program is already approved. We have most of the classes ready, so it's going to be up and running by the time you'd be joining. Again, it's STEM. Potential interest. It's really cutting edge in terms of finance. And we have something which is a little bit counterintuitive. You'd say that in the world of AI and ChatGPT and whatnot, what's the need for a financial planner? You'd say that financial planning would be done by computers. Actually, it turns out there is a shortage in the United States of financial planners. I mean, yes, ChatGPT is nice for writing essays, but when you are truly thinking about your retirement money, you'd like to talk to a person, right? You don't want anything canned, and you don't want hallucinations. You want a person who has been around, has experience, and would explain what's going on. We noticed how we arrive at this. Of course, we were aware of studies that show there was a demand for financial planning. We had a successful financial planning concentration at the undergrad level, and we noticed that our students were getting jobs in financial planning. And then we said, why not actually having a financial planning and wealth management program in itself? We definitely have the teachers who are qualified to teach these classes, who are professionals who work in the industries. Some are still working, some are semi-retired and teach full time. And it might be interesting for the type of person who has the empathy and the patience to talk to clients, has this ability to and like to relate with client and maintain a pool of clients. So here we're talking about diversity. If you are a computer science nerd, okay, and you want to blend in some finance, fintech is for you. If you like number crunching, it's financial analytics. If you are more into interacting with people, why not financial planning?
Makes complete sense, Lauren. And as you mentioned, underneath this curriculum, we have faculty that are specializing in all of these different spaces. And you and I have talked about often, if you look across the full finance faculty, you see about 50% of folks come from an academic background. They've studied finance, and 50% are practitioners that have lived finance for 40, some odd years and then choose to come and teach. I would love for you to talk a little bit about the benefit of that mix. What are our students getting? And I will also on the screen share some examples of some of our faculty that fit those two profiles, just so folks can start to understand how they're going to learn or from whom they're going to learn within each of these tracks. But if you could talk a little bit about the benefit of practitioners and also academics being core to our finance faculty, that would be wonderful.
It's always good uh, to learn finance from somebody who either learn it through research or learn it through the hard way by being in in the real world, because there is a difference among the two. I'm both an academic at heart because I have a PhD, but also I am a practitioner, so I would say, to call my background balanced. But there is a benefit to talking to somebody who has been in industry, because they have a different perspective of what really matters and what's not. Um, they have a certain way of talking, a certain way of reacting to things that are not necessarily can really be explained in a paper, but you just see them because there are years and years of experience and situation you have been exposed to. And again, there are things that cannot be written on a piece of paper. You just interact with these teachers in class and learn about this, learn about that, come up with different proposals, different situations, and see how they react. Ask for their advice on what job to take or what door to knock at in order to find a job, or maybe use them simply as like the sorting hat in Harry Potter. They look at you and say, well, you are a financial management, wealth management kind of guy, right? Person, or you are, I see you very good at building models, and you have to work a little bit on working with clients and whatnot. So yeah, there are many benefits of having somebody who has been in the industry, because in the end they look like your future hiring manager, like your future boss. So why not interact with them and learn from them in a really informal, I would say it's almost informal, right? It's school, but we are all friends and learn from each other, right? It's not a corporation, it's not a hierarchy. Also, sometimes, for example, at the undergrad level, we have we try to convince them to teach at the graduate level too. We have some Bentley alumni who has been portfolio managers at Fidelity, right? I mean, if you join Fidelity as a junior person, you don't interact with this. They are high in the stratosphere. And here, as an undergrad student, you get to talk to them, right? It's like learning baseball from some retired Red Sox player, you know. It cannot get better than that. And they are doing because they are alumni of the school and they are very much into passing their knowledge to the next generation. So that's a big advantage, I would say. It always helps to be around people who have been in industry and obviously around people who do a lot of research and are very much connected to the latest trends in finance, and they're also involved in all sorts of academic related activities. So we have both of the worlds in at our school.
Absolutely. The last thing I'm going to ask you about, Florin, before we move on to talking about the admissions process is experiential learning, kind of this hands-on learning. We've been getting at this from lots of angles. Right now, we just talked about faculty that can bring their experiences into the classroom. We've talked about things like the Bloomberg terminals. There's a great question in the Q&A about whether we have a student-run investment group. So can you use the skills you're learning and place it on actual decision making and investment? I'm curious if you can talk a little bit about how different courses integrate things like the trading room or FactSet or outside of the classroom engaging in the investment group, and how you see our students preparing through those experiences for their eventual roles.
I mean, first, the projects, each class has one or two projects which are really down to earth. I mean, we're talking about a wealth management class. There is a class 762, which actually has a real case of wealth advising, financial management, as real as it gets. I mean, a real entity for whom one has to make financial planning. And all the classes have projects which are very much with a practical orientation, practical bent, using the latest data, um, uh, analyzes most recent situations. In a way, I mean, finance forces you to be up to date because every day there is something new happening. And as I said, you capture the new thing happening and put in the perspective of things that do not change over time. Um, and principles that remain the same over the years. Um, so I would say also students, we have a class which is 701, FI 71, which is an internship. If somebody wants to work in the industry over summer, they get full credit. It counts as one of the classes uh, required towards the 10 classes, uh, the 10 program classes. It's FI 701.
Great. Thank you so much, Florin. We're going to come back.
Bentley
Oh, go ahead.
Investment Group.
Yes,
I forgot about that.
we'll do that.
We have something which is called Bentley Investment Group. It invests real money from the Bentley Endowment. It started with a couple of $100,000 some years ago. Now it's about 1.4 million. And actually, students do research and vote what companies to add to the fund. It's open information. It's as real as it gets.
Absolutely. All right, this was wonderful. Thank you so much, Florin. We'll come back to you with Q&A at the end for things folks are curious about. But Kyle, I would love for you to hop in if you don't mind and share a little bit about the admissions process and how folks on the line should be thinking about their path to joining us.
Of course. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Florin, for sharing all the wonderful information about the program. As Emma just mentioned, I'm part of the graduate admissions team, so I am part of your support structure for getting through the application process. We can answer questions, phone, email, consultations, and so we're your first line of defense as you're starting to explore enrolling at Bentley. Regarding the application process, we've really streamlined our requirements. We use a system called Business Cast. If you go on our website, it will redirect you to Business Cast. Within the application, we require a copy of your resume. We do also like to see your LinkedIn. As a business school, your LinkedIn presence has a heavy impact on being able to market yourself in the job place. And so we really like to see those things. We require one letter of recommendation. It can be professional or academic in nature. If you're a recent graduate, it might be more appropriate to have a professor that you're familiar with or that you have a good relationship with to write the recommendation. If you've been working for some time or you have a really solid internship, a supervisor or manager might be more appropriate. We have no preference, but ideally we're looking for somebody who can speak to your ability to be successful in a graduate program, or that can speak to your contributions to the environment or the roles that you've taken on. You also have the option for a second letter of recommendation, but ideally we're looking for quality over quantity. For the essay, you're going to be provided a couple of prompts that you can pick from. Choose whichever one you like the best. Ultimately, what we're looking for is strong communication. The business world is founded on communication. It's probably the #1 challenge you're going to face throughout your entire career, your relationships. And so we're looking for your ability to answer the question effectively and convey your thoughts. We also want you to avoid using AI. This is an assessment of your ability, not the assessment of artificial intelligence ability. It also can be pretty obvious, and sometimes it sets people up for failure because they forget to remove prompts or other statements, and that will negatively impact your application. So again, we're looking for your ability to communicate, avoid AI. There is also an option to include a statement of purpose. This is your opportunity to include any additional information that's not part of the standard application process. So if there's contextual information regarding your experience or academic performance, if you want to talk about why you're pursuing graduate school, if you want to include areas that you're passionate about that align with the program, the statement of purpose is your opportunity to include that. The key thing I want to highlight with the statement of purpose is you do not want to be redundant with your essay. Sometimes we see candidates who effectively include the exact same content in both the essay and the personal statement. Just remember, the more content you include, we do have to review everything. And so we're really looking for added value or added content. The GRE GMAT requirement is truly optional. Our general advice is that the GMAT or GRE is a tool that you can utilize to make your application more competitive or to offset a weaker area. And so if you have concerns about your academic performance, if you are aiming for top scholarship, you can include the GRE and GMAT. Ideally, we're looking for competitive scores. If you have questions about that, happy to connect with us and we can provide more context or discuss your profile in deeper details. But it is not required to be admitted to our program, so it is truly optional. For those of you who may have completed your education outside of the United States or who are from a country that English is not the primary language or the native language, we do require an English language test assessment. We accept all major English language tests, including the TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo, Pearson, and we have our targeted scores on the website as well, but of course, you're always welcome to connect with us. And then we do require copies of all the transcripts from universities you've attended. If you've completed your education outside the United States, we do require a NACES member course-by-course transcript evaluation. The transcript evaluations gives us a deep level of understanding of how your degree compares to degrees earned in the United States. They do GPA conversions, they assess accreditation, they assess academic rigor, but they also account for cultural variances in grading policies or education systems. So this helps to standardize the process to ensure that we're being fair and equitable in our admissions and scholarship review process. And that is a mandatory requirement for any transcripts completed outside of the United States. Scholarship. We know this is a huge topic that a lot of people are interested in. We know that graduate school is an investment, but we do offer about 85% of our admitted students some form of scholarship. Scholarship is awarded as a tuition discount, and so it reduces your overall cost of attendance. The average award varies based on each independent recruiting cycle. It depends on candidates' overall competitive profiles, depends on the program. And so there's a lot of variance based on your unique profile, but we do have a holistic review process. So we are looking at every area of your application to award scholarship. To opt into it, there's no separate application. During the application process, you're going to be asked the question, would you like to be considered for merit aid? Just say yes, if you'd like to be considered for that scholarship. We also offer graduate assistantships. These are on-campus employment opportunities. They are grant funded. So students who apply for a graduate assistantship and are awarded a role would be assigned a position on campus. It's a year-long position. They are typically in administrative, research, or faculty support roles, but they are assigned. Outside of graduate assistantships, we do also offer admitted and enrolled student employment opportunities. And almost every office on campus has some form of student employment, and these can be anything, again, from administrative support roles to research roles. They vary from semester to semester. The biggest difference between a graduate assistantship and a student employment opportunity is graduate assistantships are assigned and they are applied for through the application process. Student employment opportunities are only available to admitted and enrolled students who have their credentials, and you would apply for each role you're interested in independently, so they're not assigned roles. And then, of course, there's different partnerships we have with loan providers as well to help fund any excess education requirements. Lastly, we have some important updates for our deadlines. The spring application and the fall application are both open right now. We offer 2 priority rounds for the spring intake, October 1st being the first priority round, so that is coming up in just a couple of months, and then December 11th. After that period of time, we do still accept applications on a rolling basis, dependent on availability for each program. We did also recently update our fall deadlines, and so I'm just going to stop share and provide the update for the fall application deadline. Give me one moment. Okay, so what we've done with the fall application is we understand that full-time candidates typically are looking to apply early, get their decisions early so they can figure out what their strategy for the upcoming cycle is going to be, whereas our part-time individuals are usually navigating balance between work and life and may be applying a little bit later. So we've separated our application cycles. Primarily, the full-time candidates looking for MBA or master's programs, the deadlines are earlier. And then our part-time MBA and master's candidates, the deadlines are a little bit later to accommodate that work-life balance. And so just make sure you're paying careful attention to the deadlines because they can impact things such as scholarship, availability of graduate assistantships or any types of fellowship programs, as well as scholarship opportunities. Ultimately, we have a finite amount of scholarship we can provide, so the later it is in the cycle, the less scholarship that's available. But even if you do apply late, it does not necessarily mean you will not get scholarship. It just means that the consideration might be a little bit different. So we encourage you to apply early. If you have concerns about your profile or the time in which you can apply, definitely reach out to us because we can provide you with the most up-to-date information. All right, and then lastly, I just want to share a slide that gives you access to the QR code where you can go ahead and connect with us online. It's a really great way to stay up to date on upcoming events or things that are going on campus. So feel free to pull out your phone and scan any of those if you wish to connect with us. And then we can go ahead and dive into Q&A.
Thanks, Kyle. I think one thing I'll call out that I know you said, but I want to put an underline under, is the set up a consultation QR code, the second from the left, is an amazing way for us to have individualized conversations with you. So if you're interested in speaking to a current student and hearing about their experience in the MSF, or if you want to talk to someone like Kyle or Kyle specifically about your specific scenario, should you be submitting your GMAT, or should you, what kind of professional experience are you interested in putting forth? That is a wonderful way to share, to get that kind of feedback and information.
Yeah, absolutely. And earlier is always better. Always think about it. We can always extend your application period. We can provide advice, but the closer we are to the deadlines and the start of the semester, the less flexibility we might have in order to accommodate your needs. And so the earlier you connect with us, even if it's just questions or you're exploring, the better we can advise and help prepare you.
Wonderful. So I would hope to share one last thing before we finish up here. We've been answering your questions as we go, and so certainly I hope that you'll continue to throw things into the Q&A should you have them. I wanted to share this kind of testimonial from one of our former students. And Florin, I'm going to use this as a way for us to talk about who's successful in this program. But if you look at Will, I think there are a lot of things here that we've talked about today that were realized in his actual lived experience. So first, he talks about exactly what Florin was saying. Our proximity to Boston gives you access to the big four accounting firms and lots of opportunities for internship and experiential learning. Will had an internship at PricewaterhouseCoopers that he then leveraged into a full-time job offer. And that's exactly what a lot of our students experience and what Florin and I were discussing earlier. Similarly, I love when he's pointing out this idea that his classes are giving him exposure to the things that he did when he then was in his first 2 years of his role. A lot of our students share that they come into their employment opportunities with a leg up as compared to their peers because they've already experienced a lot of the things that they'll be doing. And again, that's something Florin was talking about, that our courses are designed around kind of projects that are mimicking the things you will do early in your career. And so I just wanted to end, Florin, if you don't mind, by talking a little bit about who's a successful MSF student and what makes their time at Bentley particularly successful as they look to launch their career in the field.
I would say that somebody who has the goal of doing the CFA or other credentials, financial risk management, you already have this in plan. The Bentley classes help them a lot in preparation for these classes. I had a couple of students who took the financial risk management certification while taking my derivatives class, which is which proved out to be quite useful for that. I would say somebody I would highly recommend to any students who want to stay in the industry to streamline their classes and in the direction of taking this CFA exams or other professionally recognized certifications. Also, is in the end, finance is not that difficult, right? Despite all the number crunching and derivatives and whatnot. If you are interested, if you want to understand how things work in finance and eventually how the world works, you are gonna find some niche where you can be successful.
Yes.
It's first and foremost a matter of interest. Okay, you might be very interested in finance, but not be that good at number crunching. Okay, you'll take some classes to have the basic knowledge, but you still would be able to be successful in industry by understanding what's going on. And as I said, finance is also a lot about human nature. It's not only physics; it's also social science in a sense, and also it's a very practical endeavor. And I had all kind of students. I had the straight A students who knows lots of calculus, knows all lots of economics and whatnot. And of course, they've been successful. But I also had students who, they were so and so on some theoretical aspects, but they had the desire to learn, and they still found decent jobs, and they could still be successful. That explains the high employment rate after of graduation, through which that was pointed to by FD survey.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Florin. And I think what you're pointing to, if we go back to kind of where we started and what we were talking about, as you said, one of the great benefits of Bentley's program is that we're going to help you figure out where you're going to be successful. What I'm hearing you say, and I think this is true across all of our programs, a fundamental curiosity about the field is what makes our students successful, because we have faculty that are going to foster that curiosity, that are going to support you in figuring out where you will be most successful. And the other piece I think is really fundamental here is our finance degree is housed within a business university. And so you also have access to our broader business faculty as well as our arts and science faculty, right? We have the ability, Florin, when he's teaching his classes, can have conversations with management faculty and talk about best practices in communication as part of his coursework, right? And that can be integrated as a skill beyond just the number crunching. And I think Bentley, as you're describing, allows you to build all of that skill set so that whichever path you go down, you are absolutely well positioned to be successful in your field.
Well said.
Wonderful.
Very well said.
Well, wonderful. We're so glad you were able to join us. Kyle, Florin, thank you so much. I
We,
hope, go
yeah,
ahead, Kyle.
we have another question that came in.
Oh, wonderful. Another question came in. And so this says, for a student, Florin, this is a great question. For a student who's looking to be a quant, who's interested in kind of the number crunching, is it better to go into the financial analytics track or into the fintech track? Help us think that through, or help us understand when they would have to make that decision.
Well, they have a lot of classes in common. It so happens that the two tracks have a lot of classes in common. So I would say you can come set on the financial analytics, but if you want to do two or three more programming classes, that's fine. There is not, the way the program is set up right now, there is not a huge difference between the two tracks. They have probably 70% of the classes are the same for the two tracks. So there is a difference in a couple of computer science classes. Not much of a difference right now.
And what I'm hearing you say, Florin, is the beauty of that is if you know you're interested in one of those two tracks, you can kind of start in one, maybe talk to our faculty, get a deeper
Yeah,
understanding of which path is going to fit your
yeah.
career path. I know I recently spoke to one of our alums who works in the fintech space that was sharing with me, Emma, fintech is now table stakes for finance, that you really need to understand fintech in any one of your roles in order to be successful, because it is so integrated into the day-to-day of the big four companies, as well as just kind of the broader finance landscape. And so as Florin is saying, though, that certainly has a lot of overlap with the financial analytics type mindset. And so what we can do is support you once you're here, or even in the process of applying, to really hone in on, based on your goal and your background skills, what might be the appropriate path for you.
And there is no pressure to make a decision in the first semester. In the first semester, you take the general finance classes anyway, and then you make your mind. I mean, it's just as I said, it's a decision for the third semester rather. right, than the first semester to be made.
Wonderful. Well, with that, I'm going to thank everyone so much for joining us. I'm going to ask, actually, I'm going to throw on the screen just one last time the ability for you to set up a consultation. I hope you will reach out and will talk to us individually about what you're considering and how we can best support you. We will be having all fall lots of opportunities for you to intersect with the finance degree. We're going to have some sample classes coming up. We're going to have alum come and speak. So I hope you'll keep your eye out for some upcoming events that you can engage with. And I hope you'll be in touch as you consider applying to Bentley. Appreciate you all. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we hope to talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you.